Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a B-movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Battle Queen 2020. So this film stars Julie Strain and is obviously set in the year 2020. Now we're told early on in the prologue that there's a large meteorite has come down and smashed into Earth and essentially wiped out 90% of the population and given us like a second ice age, much like when the killed off the dinosaurs ultimately. So what we have here is the kind of like the remainder of the human race surviving in harsh conditions. And generally speaking, what's happened is that it's kind of divided into sort of two kind of like class systems. So you have the elite, which is obviously the upper class, and they sort of control everything. They have pretty much all the wealth and the sort of the luxuries. And then the majority of people that are left are sort of in the underground, and they're kind of like living in slums and kind of poor, and really just are sort of no more than bums ultimately. And then what you have here is Julie Strain's character is a character called Gayle, and she's a character that's been taken from the kind of the slums when she was a young child and brought up almost as a kind of a high class prostitute ultimately for the kind of the elite sort of government. But she's kind of she's basically almost the kind of like the girlfriend of the sort of the head guy called Spence, played by Jeff Wincott. And she's not exactly a prostitute as such, but she's kind of his girlfriend, but she's kind of been forced to be his girlfriend almost. But they do seem to have some sort of genuine connection. As it transpires throughout the plot of the movie, you find out that the kind of elite have been experimenting on the sort of the lower class people to essentially extend their own lifespan and kind of give them almost eternal youth, and they're kind of by sort of harvesting some sort of specific glands and stuff from the kind of the people in the lower class system. Then you've also got this kind of like this rebel faction that's kind of fighting against the man, and there's some sort of power struggle within the elite, and Spence, who's this the kind of like the leader guy, sort of sends Julie Strain's Gayle off to sort of join the rebels, and then there's a kind of a fight at the end for the rebels to take over the elite, and that's pretty much the film. Now it kind of almost sounds, when I say that there's more plot to this than there is, and it's that the plot of this is very flimsy. The title Battle Queen makes you sound like there's going to be lots of action in this film, and that there really isn't. There is a couple of sort of fight scenes, a couple of sort of like kind of fist fights and a bit of martial art. Not really in the much of sort of gunplay, anything like that. Basically, however, and it's obviously a very, very low budget film. There's pretty much sort of two sets: the sort of the elite set and the kind of like the slum set, and that's pretty much it. A few sort of external shots in the snow and things like that, but it's a very kind of it's a kind of quite a talky movie, and really all it is the reason why I'd watch this film is if you're a fan of Julie Strain ultimately. Now, I think this was made in 2001, I believe, and she was kind of pushing 40 at this point, but she still looks fantastic. And I always think Julie Strain would make a great She-Hulk. Maybe not these days, but in her prime, she would have been my pick to be She-Hulk in a Marvel film. But you know, she's obviously, she looks fantastic. She does a bit of fighting herself, and it looks okay. But really, it's just this is almost goes so far as to be almost a softcore porn in a way. It isn't, but there's quite a lot of boobs in this film. Quite a lot of time is spent on the sort of lingering boob shots and kind of sort of sex scenes and stuff like that, and very little is kind of done else with anything else really to do with the sort of the plot and stuff like that. So it's kind of one of these very much these sort of adolescent male fantasy type films. As a film, it isn't a particularly good. There's plenty of like these sort of post-apocalypse types films out, and there isn't really much in the way of sort of story or effects or anything like that in this one, apart from sort of Julie Strain, who's kind of one of the sort of like the world's favourite scream queens, and she, as I say, she looks fantastic. But that's pretty much the reason why you're going to be watching this film. I always think Julie Strain tends to be sort of you know, and very often she tends to be just like a little cameo in these sort of type of films. But this one, she is pretty much the main character. So it's nice to see her in this sort of a bigger role. But other than that, unless you're a Julie Strang fan, or you're just a kind of fan of Scream Queens, or just want to watch some boobs, but there's not much else to sort of recommend it, to be honest with you. So this is kind of a hard film to sort of recommend, unless you're going to be watching it for that. But overall, I'd probably give this one a 3.5 out of 10, and that's really only for the sort of the fan service, if you know what I mean. For an actual film to watch and enjoy, it's fairly arduous, and it's not all that entertaining. It's a couple of okay fight scenes, I suppose, but that's pretty much it. So anyway, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and what's your favourite Julie Strang film? I'll see you later. Bye now.